welcome back. Last video on the Camaro, we did a little clearancing, got the flywheel off. Had a little bit of trouble with that pilot bearing. I do appreciate everybody that, put in the comments what they thought I should do with it. One of which was use a different type of puller. I ordered one. We'll give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. I really hate pounding on a crank. It just doesn't seem like a good idea. So if we can pull it out, we'll see what happens. I'll show you all the puller here in a minute. I also went ahead and ordered the shifter, the top load shifter for the transmission. I think that's going to save a lot of headache. Is worth the money. We've sold some stuff, whatever. We came up with the money. Got some stuff sold and money moved around, and it's on its way. Should be here in a day or two. Should be here before the video's done. So my goal for this video is to get this transmission to the point that it's ready to go in permanently. Whether that be in this video or not, I'm not sure. But we still got some clearancing to do. We got a hole to cut in the floor. Transmission, the pilot bearing needs to come out. Transmission needs to go in and be test fit. It needs to be. We need to make sure we can get it high enough in there to where the cross member will hold it. We may have to change the cross member. It's a lot of stuff we don't know yet, so we'll figure it out. But I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna show you all this pilot bearing puller kit I ordered, and we'll get to work and see if we can get that out. So this is something I ordered off Amazon. I hadn't even opened it yet. I think this is the top. I'd hate to open it upside down. Here we go. So it's a blind hole extractor, I think is how it was actually listed. And this is just an example, but all of the jaws have 3 pullers, which I'm hoping will help us. And of course there's a whole assortment, but it comes with a slide hammer. So in theory we should be able to use that to extract it and just pull it straight out. We're going to give it a shot, but I just wanted to show you all this. I just found it on Amazon. There was tons of different ones. I just chose one and thought, what the heck, we'll give that one a shot. So here we are. But I'm going to get this set up and get under there, and we'll see if we can get that pilot bearing out. Alright, so I have the expanded, I don't know what to call these things, whatever they are. I also have cleaned this out as best I could. So let's see if we can get this tightened down in here. I'm sort of guessing on the size for the attachment. There's different ones in there, so this is the only one I think that'll work. So hopefully it does. We'll see. It's pretty tight. Let's see what happens. It's not budged. Let's pull this off. We'll try the other style puller. Got the Swedish nut lathe. Let's see if we can tighten her down. Well, you can feel the tension on that. That's for sure. I'm going to kind of move back, that way if it flings off, it won't hit me right in the face. That's what I was afraid of. Those would just kind of walk. There's a ton of tension on that, though. So I'll mess with that for a while. I actually decided I think I'm going to order a extra deep impact socket and see if we hit it with the impact, if that'll jar that loose and pull it out. We'll see how that goes, but that won't be here for a while. That's not necessary to mock all this up and see how it's going to work and fit. I think the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull the shifter off and the little linkage thing for that. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is just sitting on here, but for all this to come apart, we'll actually end up cutting this back some, but I want to take this off just so it's out of the way and take these off. They also just pop off. They're supposed to. I'll get something to knock that off with, but and then I think I'm just going to hook up the bell housing, see if we can slip this thing in place. I'd like to mark the area for this so we can get the hole cut in the floor. So I went and found the longest 5/16 deep well socket available, I believe. It's like 5 inches long or whatever. So I'm going to put this back together and use this with an impact and see if we can get that to pull that out. And if we can't, we'll pull this apart and just try to assemble this. I also bought some carbide bits to go in there, and we'll cut that out. It will come out one way or another. We don't have a choice; it has to. So, but I wanted to try this before we did anything else, and just see what happens. I'm sure this will kick our little air compressor on. I just have a little one hooked up, so sorry about the noise, but let's see if it'll see what happens here. It didn't budge at all. Holy moly. One more shot and we'll be done. Whew. Look here. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Yeah, you can see. There, right there's the inner bearing race that was left in there. It almost pulled that out. I'm going to try to get that out with a little pair of pliers, and we'll be done with this for now. We'll have to come back to it, there's no doubt, but I want to move on. I want to test fit the, get the bell housing in, test fit the transmission, cut the hole in the floor, kind of get some of that stuff done, and get ready to actually install this thing. We can come back to that, or I may do that off camera, or I don't know. We'll see. Nevertheless, I'm just going to try to pull this out of there for now. We'll move from there. There's that little guy out. I mangled him up, but that's fine. That ain't no big deal. Let's try it one more time, just for the heck of it. Let's see what happens. Nope. Alright, I guess we'll pull her apart. See if we can wrestle the transmission underneath the car, and we'll see if we can get it up here in place and mark on the floor where we need to cut a hole, drill some pilot holes, and see if we can get it cut out. Just see how well we can get this to fit in here now that we've made the clearance in the last video, and see what the cross member and stuff is going to look like. So let me go get the transmission. I'll be back. So I don't know if y'all have seen this done before. These transmissions are heavy, and I'm by myself, so I throw a couple of ratchet straps underneath them, and then just pick them up, and then put the transmission, or well, it's not a transmission jack, but a floor jack underneath it. And then I'm going to ratchet strap the floor jack to it, and we'll see if I can get it on up there, bolt it in, and we'll mark where that plate is so we can make a cut after we pull it back out. I don't know if y'all know this, but I hate pulling transmissions in and out by myself. It is what it is. Let me get back to work. Folks, I'm back after it. My voice isn't quite back, but it's getting there. I got sick there for a while. I'm doing better. I went and bought a transmission jack. I've pulled this transmission and the other transmission so many times now with this small transmission, or with a small jack. You know, it's really not meant for it. I'm just sick and tired of it. Plus, I'm going to need it again, I'm sure. So, and I'm sure we're going to have this transmission in and out 3 or 4 times. So I spent the money, just did it, got it over with. Let's go take a look at that, and we'll see if we can't get this transmission up in there, bolted down, mark where it goes to cut the floor open. Maybe we can get it back in, test fit it again, make sure we got enough clearance, and get the cross member mounted, and see what we're going to need as far as a cross member transmission mount, the actual rubber mount. Which one I've got, polyurethane. I don't know if we'll be able to use it or not, but if we can't, I need to be able to order it. So possibly next video or two we'll be wrapping this up. I'd like to get this wrapped up so we can take it out and do some driving. But let's go look at this jack I bought. This thing's pretty big. It's the biggest transmission jack Harbor Freight sells, and the reason why is the Escalade truck I've got still going to need a transmission put in it. And I thought, there's no way I'm ever going to get that 6L80 in and out by myself without a good jack. So let's just do it and get it over with. So I bought this behemoth. Good grief, that thing is massive. Just break the sides down and roll it out. Well, there she is. All the casters swivel. It is a massive jack. So it's supposed to do, I think, 2,000 pounds. I don't know what a 6L80 weighs, but I know they're heavy. This transmission isn't nearly that heavy, but I need to be able to do this by myself. So I think it's a good decision. I think it's a good way to keep myself alive. So let me get it put together, and we'll see what we can do underneath the car with it. All right, let's see if we can get this thing high enough to get it on this jack. I'd still have to have these straps to get it up and on the jack, I think, because I couldn't get it under the car unless the car was higher. Let's see here. So after looking at that chain, I think I'll just use the ratchet strap. So much easier to adjust than the way that they've got their chain set up. So let's see what I can make happen here. I'm going to hop to the other side and see if I can get a bolt started over there. I'll be back. I got 6 of the 8 bolts holding it all onto the bell housing. I feel good about that. We have a good deal of room. You can't really see, but between the transmission and the tunnel, I'm going to jack it up as much as I can and just see if we can get the trans mount in here and if it's going to work or not. If it'll work, fine. We may have to make some more clearance in the tunnel. I don't know yet. This may be too far forward, too far back. I don't know yet. I have a different cross member this time than the last time, so I'm hoping for better results. And once we get it jacked up and kind of where we want it, I'll also try and mark the hole for the shifter to go through. And then we'll pull all this back out and cut the hole for the shifter. And, you know, if we got to make some more room in the tunnel, we will. But we'll see how that goes. I know this is going to be tough to see, but we'll just have to figure it out as we go. Hopefully I can get it to record. All right, I'm pretty sure it's hitting the floor now. Boy, it tucks up good, though. That might be high enough. I don't know. I still have the bracket and stuff on it for the 4L60, but we'll probably have to take that off. But yeah, that's several inches from being enough. So let's take that off and just see what that looks like. Alright, so this is what we're looking at. Transmission cross member's just got a couple of bolts in it, which is fine. The transmission itself could go up a little further. I might be able to get another inch out of that. And if I can, I think I'll be able to use the energy suspension cross member mount. So I think we need about a 1/2 inch to clear. And if we can catch another inch out of the transmission tunnel, and I think we can, I believe we'll be able to run that, and that'll be fine if that works out. Man, that'd be super, super nice. This side over here where we clearanced it, actually, kind of tell, looks pretty good. The top of it is hitting a little bit. I think the other side, I don't know if you'll be able to tell over here, it's hitting more But I think once we cut the hole out for the shifter, that'll create some more flex in the floor. Anyways, once we do that, I think I can beat the floor back a little further and catch minimum another inch, which would be great once we set it down on that cross member. So I'm very happy with how that's turning out. We'll see how it turns out for the end product, but I'm going to go ahead and try to mark where the shifter is going to be so we can get the hole cut and this transmission back out. Went through and pulled, not that you can tell, yeah, you can. Pulled all the bolts out, hold the trans to the bell housing. So I'm going to see if I can slide this back. I did mark. It's going to be real tough to tell, but I roughly, very roughly marked out where I need to cut. We'll drill some holes and do some cutting from the top and probably fit this thing 2 or 3 more times before we're done. But let's get it out of here and see what we look like, and we can go from there. Alright, so underneath I went ahead and drilled the 4 holes kind of at the corners. There's one, of course that's going to be one. There's one over here. There's one back here. It's kind of tough to see. It's right there. I'm going to basically drill these holes out a little bigger so I can get some of my metal cutting blades through that, put them in the jigsaw, try to cut that out as best we can. We'll see how it goes. This part's actually a bracket, it's a bracket, so it's going to be double the thickness, but I still think it'll be okay. We'll see how that goes. I may end up coming on the edge of it though, that way I don't have to go all the way up. But right here's the imaginary mark I put for that shifter. So I'm pretty sure the new shifter is going to be about here, but it comes with an offset. So we're going to get really close, I think, to where we need to be with the offset. So I don't think that'll be a problem. And if we have to, we can get creative with that. So I'm going to put y'all on a stand and see if we can't cut a giant hole in the floor. I think my lock on my handy dandy jigsaw task force, so you know it's the best. I think it's about done. Let me get the sawzall out. We'll finish that cut. There we go. Done. Well, I'm back at it. So yesterday I worked on this thing till like a little after 5. I realized what time it was is Halloween, so I had to take the kids trick-or-treating. We went and did that and had a great time. We're back at it now. I got the hole cut in the floor. I'm still going to clearance the inside of that tunnel just a little bit more and see if we can reinstall the transmission and the cross member and see if we can get the trans mount to slide in there if we can get it high enough. If not, I think I may have to cut and make a pocket for that transmission so it'll fit up higher. I don't want to, though. I don't want to weld any of that. I just want to beat it up there and be done. But we'll do what we got to do. Really, we're on the home stretch. I still have to modify the transmission to accept the new shifter that I have for it, which has come in now. Once that'll be its own video. But we'll go from there. And then once the transmission is modified, we'll be able to actually permanently install all of that. And then it'll just be get a drive shaft cut, fix the exhaust, put the car back together. So anyways, I'm going to get back under here and clearance this right quick, and then we'll see if we can get the transmission to fit and see how it clears. Now, there's the hole I cut from the bottom here. I went ahead and clearance this out some more. It'll be hard to tell. But I just beat it back with a hammer. I'll slide this in here. We may have to pull it back out and clearance it some more. But I do feel like we're making headway. And that sheet metal actually is moving a little bit easier now. I'm assuming it's probably because I cut this hole in the floor. It doesn't have to pull as much, so it's stretching it. I really don't know. I'm just hitting it with a hammer and watching it move. So let's see if we can slide the transmission back up in there and just see what kind of clearance we got. We may have to cut this hole bigger. I went a little conservative with it, but if we got to cut it bigger, that ain't no big deal. We'll just mark it and trim it and move on. So, yeah, let's see if we can slide it back in there and see what it looks like. So, I'm not sure if y'all could tell. Basically, we gained nothing. This thing is super close, though. I'm going to look up from the top and see if we can see what it's hitting. It's just really tough to see down here. But now we got a hole up there. Let's just kind of look through it. That may not tell us anything either, but let's go check it out. Well, first off, we've got it up here now. I knew I cut this conservatively. We probably could have took a little more out over here, and we probably will. I want to be able to take this whole plate out, which will be the shifter plate later on. So I'd really like to take this out, something more like that, and then across, and then on this side we just need to come back a little. I knew I cut it conservatively to begin with because it's easier to cut more out than it is to add more. This needs just to come over just a little bit further. And I just kind of mark a little bit in here. We're going to have to take this back out, that transmission back out, so I can trim that anyways. Here's a good look at, you can see where it's hitting now. And I've clearanced a bunch of that, and it's really a lot better, but I don't think it'd take much to be able to make that all clear and fit up in here nicely. It's just that one spot. There's actually quite a bit of room between the rest of the tunnel and the transmission. So you can see where I made that mark. I know I got to be over and up with it from there. So let's go down, and I'm going to pull this transmission back out, and we'll work that over. Hey, it's the next day. I had to leave and do dad stuff, so let's see if we can get this in there and see what kind of clearances we have now. By the way, I had problems getting the transmission. It slid back on the jack. I actually had to re-rig it and then put it back on the jack. It's all good now. I'm going to let the rigging down. I got the cross member in. Transmission, of course, is bolted up, and we are super close. I know that it's probably there you go. That's a little bit better shot. We're so close, but it's hitting something again, And we may be at the top. This may be as good as it gets, but I'm going to go up to the top side and kind of look around and see if I can see what it's hitting. See if it's still hitting that same spot and it needs to bend over some more, or it actually feels like it's hitting somewhere in the back. So let's check that out. You see down in there? We've made a ton of room. I don't even think where it's hitting now, I've never even hit that part, so I believe I can still clearance that some more. There's still plenty of room here, but in the back, let me see if I can move this and get you a better shot. There we go. It's getting real close, so really and truly, this corner needs to come back some, just so we have some more clearance too. So I'll probably cut that open just a little bit more. We'll pull it back out and massage more of this. I believe I can get this to work. I think this is going to be just fine. I mean, I could have cut that out, and I'm sure some of y'all are screaming, just cut that out, but I just don't want to have to pull all the sound deadening out, the carpet out, and all this stuff just for clearance. So I'll pull the transmission back out and beat on it some more. Let's see how it goes. All right, transmission's back out. I want to show y'all where we made our mark. It's really going to be really tough for y'all to tell, but that is the top of the tunnel, and that's where it was hitting, at the very top of the transmission. So I'm going to try to just go up and over with it some more, and I'm probably going to go forward just a little more, because the back seems to be fine, but the front, I can't tell if it's touching, but it wouldn't hurt it to clear some more. So I'm just going to beat on that and make that happen. And then the hole, I'm going to go to the top side and I'm going to round out the back of this and make it actually quite a bit bigger. The way that transmission's cast for the rear style shifter, I'm afraid that's going to be touching the floor too. We might be able to actually just beat that up vertically as well. I may try that instead of having a giant hole. Let's see if we can make some clearance out of that too. But anyways, I want to hit this thing with a hammer for a while, and we'll come back to it and try to put the transmission back in and see what it looks like yet again. Alright, I've got the tunnel clearance, hopefully enough right there now. I talked about bending that part up. I ended up just cutting a bigger hole because I tried to bend it up, but it was where that bracket was, so it was 2 layers thick, and your boy ain't that strong from underneath the car like that. So anyways, let's slip it back in and see what it looks like. Once again, I got the transmission back in, cross member back in, and look at this. Look at that. We clear. We got the transmission cross member. All that's together now. I'm so happy about that. So we'll be able to use this transmission mount like it's supposed to be. I'm actually going to set her down on it and see. It is touching the floor. We need to see where it's touching the floor, but actually it may not be now that it looks like it dropped down pretty good. So I'm going to look it over and make sure it's not touching the floor anywhere. Of course, this isn't bolted in, but it lines up extremely well. I'm very happy with this. Look in there. You see, it is touching just a smidge. I'll go in and clearance that. I'm not even concerned because it bolts in now. So I know for sure that I can get, a 1/4 inch out of that or whatever, just enough to clear it. You can see where I cut it out back here. We were going to hit right there. I'm positive of it. So that makes a pretty big hole, but we cover it up with a boot. It'll be fine. We may have to make a partial, like a removable bracket or something for it. We'll figure that out when we get there. But transmission's in the car, bolted in. I mean, it's got to come back out, but it's bolted in. Whew. Well, folks, I'm going to call that a video. If you ever think putting a car together with something new for the first time is easy, it is not. I knew that there would be problems along the way since nobody had ever done this before. Didn't know if it'd clear. There is one other guy that said he had done it. I've watched his videos, and it's in his car, but he did a lot of cutting. I didn't. And I'm happy that I didn't do a lot of cutting. You know, I didn't want to cut the whole transmission tunnel up for this. So I'll go in and I'll clearance that one spot just a little more, but it fits now, and we know it fits, so that's not going to be a problem. A 1/4 inch of clearance is plenty, and I know I can get that out of it. So I'll do that off camera. I'm also going to remove that pilot bearing probably off camera. I bought some carbide bits that go in my Dremel tool. It's just going to be me in there, noisy. You won't be able to see it anyways. So I'll show you what it looks like the next time we work on the Camaro and go to put the transmission in. Because realistically, here's what we're missing to put the transmission in permanently. Got to pull the transmission back out. I have to install all the parts for the new shifter. The whole back of the transmission comes apart. There's quite a bit to that. That's going to be its own video, because there's a lot to that, and I'd like to make a video for the guys that are buying this shifter in the future to come back and look at and see all the stuff that I do to it, because it's, you know, I could do it all and just go, oh, look, it works, but you know, that's not my style. I try to share everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. So next video on this car will be me putting that shifter in. But once the shifter is, all the linkage and stuff is inside of it, and all that's cut down and it's ready to go, in theory, the transmission at that point is ready to go back in the car permanently. So it'll just be clearance that one little spot again. Then I got to grind out that throwout bearing, install that, and then we can put the flywheel in and the pressure plate and the clutch disc, and see if we can slide it up in there one last time and bolt it down. Then we can take a measurement, or I could actually take a measurement now if I wanted to, for the drive shaft. I may do that. I may go ahead and do that and see if we can get a drive shaft on its way, because once we get that down, we can slide the drive shaft in and blah, blah, blah. And then the only thing left to fabricate, I think, before we kind of wrap this up, will be fabricating the exhaust. I'm not an exhaust guy. I'm not a welder by any means. I have a TIG welder right over here off screen that I have used 0 times. We may break it out, since that's stainless, and try to, you know, lay down some dimes, which will not look like dimes if I do them. I don't know how to set it up even. I'll just be honest. I don't know anything about it, but we'll work on that. And, you know, a couple more videos, I think, on this thing, and probably three. The third video from now that I do on the Camaro, I should be driving it. That's my goal. You heard it here first. So, prepare for letdown, and I'll bring that to you every time. Anyway, see y'all on the next video. Thanks for watching.